The bonus, a successful autoland on only one engine. This is a flight from Golf Mike Mike X-ray in Morocco to Golf Mike Mike November, which is the Mohammed V International Airport in the northern part of Morocco near the coast. The reason for using these two airfields are to fly an auto-land flight with the Boeing 737-800 and to do an auto-land at the destination airport, being a Category 3 certified airport, and obviously the Boeing being a certified Category 3 landing aircraft. To start off with, there are a few essentials to do an auto-land, and this flight will concentrate not on flying per se, but on those procedures and essential elements that has to be in place in order for an autoland to be done successfully. To start off with, the CRS, the course must be set at 345, which is the direction of the runway at the destination. The next point is that the flight director of the captain must be on. The auto throttle must be on. I prefer to set my speed, my FMC speed, at 220 knots. My height has been set at flight level 180, and then on the right hand side the co-pilot's course must also be set to 345, and very important, the flight director of the co-pilot must be on as well. So on the autopilot panel and panels below, I will show you now total left right synchronization. On the FMC, you will see that I have prepared my flight plan from runway 10 where we now, and if we go down, importantly to note that all the heights are complete right through to runway 35 left, which is the runway we will be using at our destination airport. The co-pilot's FMC must be exactly the same, therefore up to runway 35 left, exact flight plan with all the heights included in order to accommodate and make VNAV possible along the entire flight. At the bottom center console, very important that the ILS frequency for the runway 35 left is 110.7, and the captain's setting in the active position must be exactly the same as the co-pilot's position, active nav 110.7. So we're basically ready to go. Those are the essentials to be in place for takeoff regarding the Autoland system. Our flaps have been set to 5 for takeoff, and basically we are ready to go. Brakes released. Takeoff view. Throttle open. We are airborne. Undercarriage up. Flaps up. Autopilot on. Lima nav on. We'll give it some time to settle. V-nav on. My flying view. L-nav on. I saw the aircraft switching over to N1, and I'll give V-nav a try in a moment again. Thanks, V-nav. So speed on N1. L-nav is on, and V-nav speed is maintained, and I see we are climbing at 255 knots at about 4,500 feet per minute. If we look at our altimeter, we're at 15,000 feet, 3,000 feet to go, climbing at 5,100 feet per minute. So it appears that the top of climb is close, and we should getting an indication having reached 17,000 feet. There we are, and we are now approaching the intercept of flight line, or the route we have to follow to this point after taking off from runway 10. The speed has already settled to 300 knots. You can cross-check that at the height of our next waypoint, Mabab, we should be cruising at 280, and we will then start descending from Mabab 18,000 feet to Lima Alpha Charlie Alpha Juliet to 10,000 feet. I'm going to put on our aviator map. The route we are flying is this route over here. We have reached 18,000 feet, and let's go to maps. And I think because we have to start descending from Mabab towards the next waypoint, which is quite far away, it is important to reduce our height to the height we should be at, right down at our point where we have to start approaching the runway, which will be 3,600 feet, and we can just double check that on Navimap now in order to just refresh my memory and double check that I am correct. Golf, Mike, November, and we'll be using 3-5 left, ILS, I chose the category 3 runway 3-5 left to do the Autoland, and that is ILS Z runway 3-5 left. There we have our Jefferson chart for Golf Mike November, also indicating Cat 2, Cat 3, ILS Zulu runway 3-5 left. We have set our courses to heading 345, and the height we have to be at that point would be 3,600 feet. And interesting to note, that is Sierra Lima Kilo, which is a VOR point, and then entering the actual ILS zone would be at Foxtrot 35 Lima at the same height. So the height will at least remain the same for approximately 5,6 nautical miles, meaning that I will have some time to ensure that everything is in place, and I must activate my approach. I would prefer doing it before the Sierra Lima Kilo point, which is only 5.6 nautical miles away from my actual descent point, or let's call it the ILS descent point. The amber fuel warning caused the engine number 1 failure, and flight will continue with engine number 2 only. I'll now be going back to my landing view, and you will also see sometimes I will go down, that I will sometimes just go one click lower, so that I can see at a better angle down onto the airfield. The aircraft appears to be very stable, the environment conducive to good flying, and as a reminder, we are still flying on engine 2 only. That is a view to the north. In fact, northwest. To the right hand side of the picture you will see cloud, which is not overwhelming, which could be overwhelming, especially at this airfield. Obviously one of the reasons why it has been made a Category 3 or a Cat 3 approach to Golf Mike November. Towards the southeast, obviously I do suspect a darker cloud on the horizon that could affect the area at a later stage. Despite the fact that I have brought my altitude down to 3,600 feet, the aircraft has not started descending yet. I could obviously expedite this myself by using the vertical speed and the setting, but at this stage it is indicated to me that the top of descent is over there, and trust that the Ridley for me. I think, seeing that I do have the time and the aircraft is extremely stable, I will use the vertical speed indicator now and reduce the height to approximately 10,000 feet, depending whether I reach top of descent at that time or not. Otherwise I will revert back to VNAV and then activate VNAV, because obviously the VNAV button has now been deactivated due to me using vertical speed descent. So just peeping to the left, we can see the aircraft is now approaching that point. That point being Lima Alpha Charlie Alpha Juliet. It'll then turn in onto that descent and it should reach Sierra Lima Kilo. That point at 3,600 feet, and then obviously from this point the ILS guidance will be activated, the approach button to take over the entire flight from there up to rounding, flaring and landing, and we trust it will be as stable and as good as the flight. On our map down below, you will see that the aircraft compensates by the magenta line to start turning before the time, because of it being a very sharp turn at this speed. Now what I would like to do now is I would like to start decreasing my speed by putting back my throttle. Obviously not using the auto throttle. Undercarriage down and approach button activated. I'm going to bring my speed down to 160 knots, the landing speed, or 1 knot before full flaps down. I'm putting the flaps down now. We can see runway 35 left and 35 right ahead of us, flaps further down. Activate second command button before 800 feet.
1000.
The amber electrical warning is contained and will be attended to after landing. So at the moment,
300.
flight director on, auto throttle on, command and flight director on, and both these on.
100.
3, 4, 5. I'm touching
50,
absolutely nothing.
30, 20, 10.
There we've landed, and I'm now going to push the reverse thrust on. Auto throttle automatically disengaged once we landed. I'm going to apply brakes slightly, obviously using the rudders for centerline control. And I'm going to stop the aircraft, requesting permission to investigate before taxiing back the electrical problem I had. And then this is the end of the Autoland flight with only engine number 2, and trust it was informative and pleasant. Thank you.